Persona 3 has always been an outlier for me when it comes to the whole social trilogy. The game has this constant darkness to it. In the game, there's a viral illness going around killing off the citizens. Kids around town are going missing. Your friends are all dying around you. I mean, the protagonist, Makoto Yuki, it's literally his story of his final year in high school before death. Persona games do usually have very dark elements, but Persona 3 really takes the cake with this constant pain and misery that goes on within its story. Whenever I make a video, I try to come at it with a sort of message that I want to leave you guys with by the end of the video. And the message for today is, who are you? And no, I don't mean superficial stuff like who are you, what are your name, what are your likes and hobbies, dislikes and stuff like that. I mean, who are you? Really? Much of Persona's mythos comes from Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung with his Jungian Psychology. Most notably, Persona fans will be accustomed to the titular persona and also shadow. But what exactly is a shadow? I'm glad you didn't ask, viewer, but I'm going to tell you anyways. A shadow is the side of you that you don't want anybody else to see. It can harbor your deepest, darkest desires, your weaknesses, or maybe even your insecurities. Because Persona is a game, it's very gamified, I guess. So in the game, shadows are noted as something inherently evil and bad, when in Jungian psychology, that's not even the case. A shadow could have horrible aspects of you, but a persona could have that as well. A shadow could have good aspects of you, and a persona could harbor the same thing. It just depends on what attributes are placed within your persona and which attributes are placed within your shadow. I'll give you an example. So, say you grow up in a household that's not too keen on love and affection, and anytime you as a child show any type of love and affection, you get beat for it, you get punished for it. So as you grow up, you start to internalize that showing any type of love, affection, any type of tender care for other people is seen as bad, or you hide that away from yourself. Those aspects of you are placed into your shadow. Whereas your outward persona is a very cold and distant type person. So again, shadows aren't necessarily evil. They're just aspects of your psyche that are suppressed because you deem they aren't socially acceptable. One thing that I think Persona 3 does very well, and I don't believe it was actually intentional, is that your shadow isn't your enemy. And actually, if it isn't acknowledged, if you try to suppress it, it can come out in very rather hostile and at inappropriate times. I'm gonna say something rather controversial, as I'm sure most people who watch this video are fans of Persona 3. So for this video, I played Persona 3 for the second time. I played it originally maybe in 2019. When it comes to the Persona cast, the Persona 3 cast is possibly one of my least favorite. It's probably my least favorite of in the Persona series. To put it blatantly, they were just kind of annoying. If there were characters that left me with any type of emotion that wasn't just, oh, okay, this character is just the kid of the group, this character is a shy girl of the group, it was anger. Either a certain character was just madly annoying, another character just wouldn't shut up, or this other character was just too rigid. And while playing through it for a second time, again, I don't know if this was intentional, but it's still there. I feel like the Persona 3 cast is the way that it is because the C's team is donning some rather interesting, I'll say, personas, instead of showing their actual true feelings within their shadows. One character that I have talked a lot of Leon, you're gonna have to censor me here, about is Yukari Takeba. I'm not gonna hold you. Ever since my first playthrough of P3, yo, I hated her ass. I 1000% did, and I 1010% went into this playthrough thinking, oh my god, Yukari is about to be unbearable. And then, as I started looking more into Jungian psychology, I realized that the Yukari who's just overly judgmental, just berating people around her for no reason, that's her persona at work. That's a part of herself that she feels is, for some reason, socially acceptable to show off to everybody, and her true feelings, her true nature, is hidden away, and it's not accessible to you unless you go through her social link, which is exactly what I did. And it was through that another teaching from Jung smacked me straight in the face. I'm actually embarrassed of all of the Yukari slander that I've said over the years. I don't know what the term of this is. I tried to find it, but I think it might be psychological projection. The quote goes, "Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge." It's scary. Again, the shadow self is something that everybody should work on trying to bring out instead of trying to suppress. And I'll get into the reason why. But it's scary. Truthfully, it is. It's easier to blame other people and circumstances rather than confronting you. And that's exactly what I did with Yukari. While going through her social link, I started to notice bits and pieces of her that made me go, "僕が同じだよ." And it was weird. It was scary. I was like, yo, she like me for real, yo. And that's that projection. Sometimes some of us hate certain people or dislike certain people because they remind us of ourself that we don't want to showcase to the world. So instead of confronting that and being all like, this is something that has to do more with me than the other person, we blame the other person. We hate the other person. And that's exactly what I did to Yukari for all these years. I mean, trust me, Yukari Takaba, you're still a bitch whenever it comes to being around some of your friends. But I understand it to a certain extent. And here's one thing that I want to say. You can be sympathetic to a person's struggles and their self-discovery while also being critical of their actions. Just because somebody's going through some sort of battle or something, that does not give them an excuse to just be a total dickhead. You can still look at their actions and be like, I know you're going through something. I know this is a very low point in your life, but that's still not social. That's still not acceptable. I just want to make that distinction right now. So we know what a shadow is, but what exactly is a persona? I'm glad you didn't ask again, hypothetical viewer, but like I said before, I'm gonna tell you anyways, you little bitch. A persona is a social mask. It's the mask that you, unlike the shadow, you do seem socially acceptable. Everybody has different masks for different occasions. If you're a doctor, obviously you have to be very professional in your field versus when you're at a family gathering. You're with your homies, you're with your niggas. So you're gonna act a bit loose versus if you're with your parents versus if you're with a group of friends. It's kind of like, think of a persona as sort of code switching, if you will. And it's the mask that you use to hide your shadow. So my shadow self would be a more critical thinking person who likes fairly deep conversations. And I shouldn't really have to explain why I've pushed this away. At least the people around me or most people in real life just don't really like having deeper conversations more than surface level stuff. So my persona self, which you have seen come in and outside of shadow projection multiple times, is very aloof and spontaneous, if you will. Oh, here he is! Here he is! You saw him? I know it's a very crude example. I'd rather not tell you like my deep and darkest insecurities. Oh, if you've been on the channel long enough, I shouldn't really even have to tell you. You already know. You better not snitch in the comments, you little bitch ass nigga. But if you take these two aspects of what makes me, me, you have a person who's more serious, more grounded in reality, likes to talk about more serious topics, and then you have the other side, who's more goofy and just weird. When it comes to this kind of characterization, most people would consider these two personalities two different things, when in actuality, they're me. They're just, depending on who I'm talking to, the me that I don't feel comfortable showing versus the me that I feel as though most people would like to see, and most people don't like to be around me when I'm this person, but most people enjoy and actually expect me to always be this person. But luckily, through the help of doing this channel for so long, I've been able to integrate both of these personalities, at least I feel, smoothly into just fully being myself. I don't have to fully be this guy, this shadow self, overly critical me. And I don't have to be this fully goofy dude. I can be them at the same time, unlike the cast of P3. So a couple characters that I really want to hit on is Strega. I think they are a wonderful example of having the wrong persona. So my persona, luckily for me, is a part of my actual personality. I'm not putting on a show. I'm not faking my feelings or my reactions to things. That is me. But in the game, we learned that the 3 members of Strega were ejected. I'm not too sure how they were given their personas, but they were forcefully given their social mask. They were forcefully given their personas. And you see in the game that it's killing them. This persona, it's not theirs. It's not who they are. And I feel as though, and again, I don't know if this was intentional, but it's kind of symbolic of people who go through life being this fake self, feeling holy shit, I just realized that was me a couple years ago. Hell, I'm making self-discoveries in this video and I'm the one making it, nigga. Oh my god, I'm so fucking smart. People who don these fake personalities to please others. People who don't feel comfortable being themselves. They become the person that they think other people want them to be. And it eats them up inside. It's killing Strega because those aspects, that mask that they hold, it's not their own. And ultimately within the game, in different ways, it ends up killing all 3 of them. Holy hell, that is so interesting. I planned out this video, but even I'm making self-discoveries as we go on. So while Strega was given their personas forcefully, the C's team, the main cast of Persona 3, inherited their personas naturally. But see, the issue is that personas and shadows aren't two good and evils. It isn't a black and white. It isn't a binary. A persona exists to aid a shadow, and a shadow exists to aid a persona. When one of those aspects is neglected, chaos ensues. While Strega had personas that weren't for them, the cast of P3 had absolutely powerful personas while still continuing to neglect their shadows. Become friends with your darkness. There is no shadow without light. It'll still be there, but darkness can't penetrate light. Light always shines through darkness. Let's talk about Makoto for a second. I always hear people talk about persona protagonists using people. I know it's a joke, but I always hear people talk about, hey, the persona antagonist, if you really think about it, they're using people to unlock powerful personas. Like he's only interacting with his friends to get more power. But if you think about it really, is that through the social links that you gain throughout the game, you're aiding other people overcome their shadows and unlock their true nature. I'm sorry, I don't know what the integration of shadow and persona is, so let's just call it true self. The protagonist throughout the social link, you'll start out obviously on level 1. The person will be, let's just use a blanket statement, the person will be a very shy, timid person. And then over the course of 1 to 5, 5 to 10, to the end of the social link, they'll become who they are, who they truly are. Instead of this closed off person, they learn how to integrate their shadow self into their persona self and become their true being. Do you understand what I'm saying? He said, sure, the protagonist, in this case Makoto Yuki, does get very powerful personas that he can use within battle, but he's also literally helping out so many people to become comfortable within their own skin. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Would I rather have like mythical powers and all that shit, or would I rather be comfortable being the person I am? Nigga, let me be me, f***ing powers! So the protagonists of Persona games usually have the arcana of the Fool. And I'm not gonna get too far deep into what these tarot cards and the meanings are. I really don't know, if I'm being fairly honest. But the Fool is a card that holds infinite possibilities. It's a beginning of a tale, essentially. Think of a newborn baby. That baby could become a scientist that cures cancer, become the president, or become Hitler 2.0. I'm sorry, I wanted to say somebody else, but that was the first name that came to mind. There's just infinite possibilities for the Fool Arcana to go through, because they're literally at the beginning of their story. If anybody wants to know what Arcana I am, I took a quiz. I am, in fact, the Star. Am I the Star? Yes, I am the Star. Oh, this is gonna be so cringy to edit back. Anyways, so throughout the journey of Persona 3, again, this is a story of Makoto Yuki's final 12 months before death. He's recently unlocked this mask, this persona. And throughout his final year in high school, he has to go through all these trials and tribulations, all this pain and suffering to find out what his purpose is in the world. Because the final arcana, I believe it's the 12th arcana, is known as the world. And that world card is when somebody fully understands what their purpose is and what the meaning of life truly is to them. Makoto has to go through the death of his parents, literally having that being that took his parents away from him being locked inside of himself. Seeing his friends suffer around him, seeing other people, innocent people, go through illnesses, disappearances, all of this darkness, and low-key because of something that's within him. So I've already mentioned this, but this is the part of the game where it spins off from Jungian psychology and goes like full game mode. Shadows are full evil, and then personas are good when that's just simply not the case. But when faced with a powerful shadow, the C's team, versus their almost equal, no, not equally as powerful, but with their already powerful personas, I love the fact that they don't back down. They're told that this shadow is unbeatable. This shadow, you will die if you try to take on this shadow. And the protagonist, the player, is given the choice, do you want to take on this shadow, or do you want it to fester? What I love about Persona 3 is the fact that in the final end game, there are multiple moments where the C's team do self-reflection over their final year, their almost final year of high school. And they do a lot of soul searching, talking to themselves, talking with those around them, and going, I understand my purpose. I understand that this thing that I was dealing with, it is me, but I'm not gonna let that darkness, I'm not gonna let that shadow overpower me. I'm gonna control it, I'm gonna harness it, and I'm gonna pull it into the light so I can just be me. After that, they unlock this even more powerful persona. It happens one by one, each C's team. And in the end, it isn't defeatable. The shadow isn't able to be defeated until Makoto finally realizes his purpose. And that is, he has to sacrifice himself. His final year of living was him helping other people come to their discovery of who they really are. His final year of living was a lot of soul searching, while absolute carnage was going on around him. And in the end, he decides to sacrifice himself, not only for his friends, but for the world, man. And I know that sounds silly because it is still a game, but symbolically, that's just... fuck, man. Symbolically, that's just so crazy when you think about it. Like, the team went into that battle expecting to die. They put their lives on the line because they knew their purpose in life, finally. Oh my god, I'm about to tear up. Yo, I'm not even joking, holy. And then Makoto, he used his power of channeling so many different personas, of that last year talking with so many people, interacting with so many people, helping so many different people. And in the end, all those personas helped him to finally reach his full potential. Yo, in the end of P3, man, when I first played the game a couple years ago, I was not really emotional. Replaying it now, knowing exactly what was going to happen at the end of the game, when everybody forgot who they were, because I didn't really explain this, but it's like whatever. After the shadow was defeated, everybody forgot their memories of everything that happened throughout the past year or whatever. And I was all like, they were seeing their past friends and all the moments that they had together, but nobody remembered who they were. I was all like, there's no way. There's no way. The only person who remembered was Aigis, and she couldn't even interact with her friends anymore because it would have been weird because they didn't even remember who she was. I was like, no. But bro, they had a pact. Before the final battle. They said, let's meet up. Even if we forget each other. I'm tearing up. Even if we forget each other, we have to meet up at graduation. Bro, literally graduation day, Makoto passes away. Nobody even remembers who he was and what they did together. Until this thing just clicks. And everybody starts to remember one by one. They go up to the fucking rooftop, bro. Aigis is holding Makoto. They all fucking remember. No! Stop crying! Stop! Hold on. Give me a moment, damn it! And then the credits started playing, man. I was all like, it was like, Persona has a very, it just has so much ways of just breaking me. Persona 4 broke me because I'll make a video on that one day. Persona 4 broke me in a different way. Persona 3 broke me because of just the act of thinking you know who you are because of your persona. Overly just identifying with that, not realizing that you also have to bring out that shadow. Because without that shadow, so much chaos can ensue. So much personality misunderstandings. So many things can go wrong if you try to neglect and suppress that shadow. And to finally integrate that shadow and integrate that persona and find out who you are. And in the end, it just ended up taking his life, man. That... Symbolically, I think Persona 3 is a very beautiful game. And it definitely left a lasting type of impression on me. I'm trying to do so much shadow work now. Trying to integrate my shadow self into who I really am, and I've done that. I mean, you see that right now. But truthfully speaking, it is scary. It's like closing your eyes, slowing your breathing, putting a gun to your head, and pulling the trigger. Persona.